Is the PRO Act really a threat to freelancers? In this video, I'm going to give you a complete guide to what it is, what it means for you as your future as a freelancer, and what is the difference between the California Assembly Bill 5 and the PRO Act. There are some key differences that a lot of freelancers and a lot of businesses are not understanding. I want to clear up the confusion over these laws so that you know exactly what you need to do to protect yourself from them. And I will tell you later in this video what you need to do, but first I want to make sure that you fully understand what the threat actually is and where it's coming from, so that you know how to speak up to your senators, to your congressmen, so that you know what to share with other freelancers in your network that will help to educate them on what is going on. The word free is in Freelancer for a reason, right? You're free to work wherever you want, whenever you want, however you want. You can set your own hours. You're free to determine your own income. You're free to have multiple clients and to choose who those clients are. You're free to be an independent contractor. The PRO Act, like California's AB5 already did, could take these freedoms away. But we need to know that there are differences between the PRO Act and AB5 so that we can understand what the threat really is, because some people are saying that the PRO Act is the exact same as AB5. It's not the exact same. So make sure that you have accurate information so that you know what to do about it and you know how to share it with other people. AB5 went into effect in January of 2020. And since that time, many freelancers in California have suffered because of it. They've lost their jobs. The companies that they were doing work for said, hey, we can't work for you anymore, or we can't have you work for us anymore. And in November of 2020, they modified the bill through Proposition 22. And in that modification, there were some freelancers that became exempt from the law, some that are in the fine arts and other industries. And but regardless of whether they got exempt or not, those same freelancers are still being hurt by the bill, because many of the companies that were hiring freelancers in California still don't fully understand the bill. And so in order to not even take the risk in breaking the law, they're just not even hiring freelancers over there to begin with. So that's why it's a huge problem, that they are hesitant to hire freelancers in California because of the bill, even if those freelancers are exempt from the law. Now, the PRO Act is a national bill that passed in the U.S. House in March of 2021, and it's on its way to the Senate right now, so it can still be stopped. It may or may not pass the Senate. It doesn't have a huge chance in passing, but it is possible. Now, this bill will affect all freelancers in the entire United States. The one thing AB5 and the PRO Act have in common is the ABC test. And once I cover this ABC test, I'll then go into the differences or the key difference between the PRO Act and AB5. And again, in a little bit, I will tell you exactly what you need to do to protect yourself from this bill if it does pass, or if you already live in California or you live in some of the other states that are considering a similar bill, you will know what to do to protect yourself. You'll be able to know what to do right now. I will get to that in a little bit, but I want to make sure you fully understand this, what it means for you first. So the ABC test states that an independent contractor must be classified as an employee to the company hiring them unless they meet all three of these conditions. A, the worker is free from the control and direction of the hiring entity in connection with the performance of the work. So this can easily be interpreted as the company just giving the freelancer feedback, right? And in a court of law, it could be interpreted like that, which is a huge problem because, of course, the company is going to give you feedback on your work. But overall, the general consensus from the AB5 court ruling regarding this part of the bill is that the employer is telling the worker where the work is done, when the work is done, and how the work is done. It can also mean that the employer controls what you get paid and how you get paid, that you don't really have a say in that. So like some rideshare companies like Uber kind of fall into that category. And that's what the A means. Let me just mention real quick that the ABC test is something that a lot of states in the US have been implementing for a long time, but only for specific things like getting workers' compensation or unemployment insurance, until California's law, they haven't had the ABC test be used to classify a worker in general for any reason. That's why the law in California is so controversial. But this ABC test is nothing new. It just has usually only been used for certain specific purposes, not to reclassify a worker overall for any reason. That's why it's a problem. Now, B in the ABC test is the one that tends to make the most people angry because it's the hardest to pass, this part of the test. It says the worker performs work that is outside the usual course of the hiring entity's business. What freelancer, besides an electrician doing work on a retail store, is performing work that is outside the usual course of that business? This is great for the brick and mortar independent contracting world. I'm not a part of that world. And it's easy to pass this part of the test if you're in that industry. For all the digital freelancers, which accounts for the majority of freelancers today, you wouldn't pass this part of the test. For example, I hire video editors who work for my business who are freelancers. And my core service that I offer in my business is that I create videos for my clients. So I wouldn't be able to hire them as a freelancer. I would have to hire a video editor as an employee according to this law because they're doing work that is a part of the usual course of my business. And every single freelancer I hire, from the writers to assistants to video editors, graphic designers, they're all doing work that is a part of me producing videos and performing the main service that I'm offering to my clients. And that's probably most of you. Most of you are freelancers that would not pass this part of the test, that you're doing work for a client that is part of the usual course of that business's operations. So yeah, huge problem. Now C is the worker is customarily engaged in an independently established trade, occupation, or business of the same nature as that involved in the work performed. So basically, it means that you're a full-time freelancer who is offering a similar service to other clients. You have multiple clients, or at least you're trying to have multiple clients. If you're a video editor, you're also doing video editing for other people. In other words, you are making your services publicly available like a normal business would. You're not just exclusively working for one client 40 hours a week. This is something I encourage freelancers to pursue anyways. So the A and the B, or the A and the C of the ABC test, I agree with, and I encourage freelancers to pursue not being controlled by their client regarding where you work, when you work, how the work is done, how you get paid. And I encourage freelancers to pursue having an independently established trade where you actually have a business, where you're having multiple clients, where you're diversifying your income. You're not just putting all your eggs in one basket and you're treating it like a real business. And you're covering your own business expenses. If your client is covering your business expenses or paying for equipment for you, that also kind of helps. That can make you fail the C part of the test. But even though I agree with A and C, I still don't agree that that should be a law. That's just what freelancers should be encouraged to pursue. And that's what they need to go after clients that are also okay with that. But it should never be a law. You should just leave it up to the free market to allow that to happen. Now, B is the one where the most freelancers are getting screwed. And it's a huge problem. So the one key difference that some freelancers and businesses are not understanding between the PRO Act and the AB5 is that in the PRO Act, the classification of making a freelancer become an employee only applies for the purpose of giving the freelancer union bargaining rights. So you'll still work for the company in general as a 1099 independent contractor, but you're being classified as an employee if you want to, for the sake of having union rights to be able to bargain or vote for unions. So it's confusing deliberately, because when something's confusing, guess what? Businesses tend to be hesitant anyways. So Now, AB5 is more damaging than the PRO Act is, but I'm still very concerned about both. And here's why. First of all, when you give them an inch, they go a mile, right? So once you get on the road to starting to take away the rights of freelancers, that's only going to get worse. Now, the biggest reason why I'm concerned about this is that even if you're exempt from the AB5 law in California, or even if as part of the PRO Act, you have no desire to get involved in union bargaining rights, and so you're kind of exempt from that one. Many businesses already don't understand the key difference between the PRO Act and AB5, and they're not going to understand the bill in general. They're just going to see it as, oh, I have to classify a freelancer as an employee. Maybe I just shouldn't even hire a freelancer to begin with. Their confusion over it makes it so they don't want to accidentally break the law. They don't want to even take that risk. So they're going to be more hesitant to hire freelancers. And because I know that because that's exactly what has happened in California. Many of the freelancers that are struggling to find work are exempt from the law, but they're still struggling to find work. It's still hurting them. They don't want to take that risk. Now, there's even been job posts that say, hey, if you're a freelancer in California, don't apply to this job. Yeah, there's that kind of discrimination happening because of that law. And the same thing would happen with the PRO Act. And I have been encouraging for a while freelancers and businesses to adopt this model where you are hiring a larger independent contracting workforce, and where freelancers are seeking out companies who are doing that because the business saves money and the freelancer has more freedom and gets to earn more money. It's a huge win-win. And they are trying to attack this model that is so important for small businesses and startups to be able to thrive and grow. Now, in a minute, I'm going to tell you how to get around these laws, so hold on. But I want to make sure you first fully understood what this law is and what it means for you so that you know what to speak against. Now, regarding the union bargaining rights and so forth, I need to touch on that because there are people that feel bad for the freelancers thinking they're getting taken advantage of. All those poor freelancers that aren't getting benefits and aren't getting paid time off. It's so unfair. No, it's not. You're running your own business. You're providing your own benefits. That's the whole point of being self-employed. You get to earn more than an employee does doing that same job. So you have extra money to be able to pay for your own health insurance, to be able to cover your own time off. You have to think about benefits differently when you are self-employed. I don't see myself as having paid time off. I work Monday through Thursday, and I take around 6 weeks off during the year. But I'm earning enough money in the time that I am working that I'm still within the whole year. I'm earning enough income to live comfortably and pay for my family's life. So I'm basically getting paid time off. I don't see it as anyways. I'm not complaining that I don't have a paid time off benefit from another company. It's very normal for me to pay for my own health insurance. It's very normal for me to pay my entire Social Security tax because overall, even with that, I still end up earning more money than I would as an employee. And so I don't need bargaining power because my clients aren't giving me a wage. I'm setting my own rates. That's the whole point in being self-employed. And these people that are making these laws, they have no clue how the free market works. They have no clue how the freelancer model works and what is going on in that world. That's why you have to speak up and tell them what's going on. I'm not saying that they intended to do harm to us when they created these laws, but because of their ignorance of our world, they are doing harm. And so it's up to you to speak up so that they know what's really going on, so that our senators, so that our congressmen and your state and local governments that are trying to pass laws like these, that they understand what this world really is, so that they realize, oh, I just need to stay out of it. When the government tries to tamper with the free market, it always ends up doing more damage than good. And it ends up being a lose-lose situation, not even a win-lose situation, a lose-lose situation. Actually, the only people that do win is the government that gets the money from the fees or the fines that you have to pay when you accidentally break these laws. So they win. But when you are a freelancer operating within a free market, you are able to negotiate with your clients and allow the law of supply and demand to dictate what you get paid and how you get paid. And you're able to have that kind of conversation freely. And you end up walking away with that in a win-win situation where you get paid what you want and what you deserve, and the company is saving the money that they want to save. And it's a huge win-win situation. And it's important that the government stays out of it and allows that process to take place. If I set a rate and nobody's willing to pay that rate for my services, I have to either lower that rate or I have to increase my skills so that I am worth closer to what that rate is, or I have to get better at selling. Sometimes it's just your sales skills aren't good enough. And it's important that the government allows us as freelancers to do that, to participate in the free market in setting rates and figuring out what clients are willing to pay and then adjusting accordingly if they're not willing to pay it. You don't go joining a union and trying to force the company to pay you a certain rate. You're not an employee. That's the whole point in being self-employed. You're a business and you're setting a price, and sometimes you have to change that price based on the market and based on supply and demand. If you're a freelancer, you need to believe in the free market. You need to defend the free market, or you don't get to freelance. Your very career depends on the free market functioning as it is supposed to, on capitalism functioning as it is supposed to. I believe that companies like Uber, who are basically treating their independent contractors like employees, but not letting them have the freedom fully as a freelancer would. Yeah, I don't believe that's the right way to approach it, but I believe that it's important to let the free market decide that. You don't need the government telling them they can't run their business like that, because there are people that are still choosing to go work for them. They don't have to work for Uber, but if they choose to and they're okay with how things are done there, then they're okay with it. So you just let it be. You let the free market regulate that if it's a problem. What they also don't realize is that freelancers account for 1.4 trillion of the US economy. There's 57 million of us, and we are key to small businesses and startups being able to thrive and grow, because the business only has to pay us for the work we do. They only have to pay us on demand, maybe only a couple hours a week. They don't have to go hire somebody and put them on payroll and cover that expense, regardless of whether they have work for them or not. It's a huge advantage to businesses to be able to hire freelancers, and this type of legislation is a full-on assault to that model that is key to our economy thriving. Again, you can't possibly convert a 5-hour-a-week freelancer into an employee. Like, how would that even work if they have other clients as well? It doesn't work. So what can you do about it? What can you do about this? How do you buffer yourself from these laws if they were to pass? First, email your local senators to stop the PRO Act. I've already done that. You just go to their website, fill out a contact form, and express your concerns with the law and why it's going to be a huge problem. Then share this information on social media. Share this video. Share articles on this and tell them what is going on with friends, with family, on social media. Make sure that this gets passed around so that other freelancers if there's 57 million of us and we're all educated on this and we're all speaking up, it's not going to pass. But if the PRO Act does pass, yes, it only applies to you if you want some union rights, but it can easily be set as a precedent for future laws that continue to restrict your freedoms as a freelancer. And eventually it could get to a point where you're being forced to become an employee for any reason, just like the AB5 law in California did. So for me, I don't even want to inch towards that. I don't even want to get on that road of starting to interfere with the freedom that self-employed people deserve. Now, if you live in California where you have the AB5 law that already passed, or if you live in one of the other states that are considering it, or if you're just not living in any of those states, here's what you need to do immediately to protect yourself from what may come from the PRO Act if it does get passed. 1, you have to start an LLC or a corporation. This is something that I've recommended doing anyways. So basically, instead of using your social security number on the W-9 forms for your clients, you're using an EIN number that is given to you when you register your business. You come up with a business name, you register it as an LLC or a corporation, and then you don't fall under the jurisdiction of these laws. This is what you should be doing anyways, regardless of these laws, because it gives you maximum protection. You always need to separate your personal and business finances. Trust me, I made that mistake in my first year or two of freelancing, and it was a huge headache accounting-wise when I had to go through my personal bank account and separate all my business expenses from personal expenses. It's an absolute mess when it comes to time for tax season when you don't have this. So you set up a separate bank account for your business, you set up an LLC or a corporation, and your clients, when they pay invoices, that money goes directly into your business bank account. And then after business expenses, you pay yourself. This will give you legal protection as well, that if ever your business gets sued, it's your business getting sued, not you. And you're just representing your business, you're the main contact point. And you can protect your personal finances and your personal assets when you have an LLC or a corporation set up. So it's super important that you do that now, regardless of this law. But the reason why it protects you from this law is because when you have clients, they're now paying your business. They're paying your business as a business service. They're not hiring you as an independent contractor. So now you're no longer within the jurisdiction of this law. On their accounting, you're just showing up as a business expense, just like when I pay for Adobe Premiere every month and other services, it's just another business expense. You are now just another business expense opposed to a hired independent contractor. So this will get you around this law. The other thing I need to mention real quick is that businesses, your clients will take you more seriously. And you'll get more and better clients when you set up an LLC or a corporation because they now see you as a serious business rather than just a freelancer side hustler. And you will be able to negotiate higher rates when you have an LLC and a corporation set up because they do see you as a more serious business entity. So that also has some selling power to you if you have that set up. The second thing to do is to use platforms like Upwork or Fiverr, which makes it so essentially clients, they don't have to send you 1099s. And for them, Upwork is just a business expense because what happens is you get hired through something like Upwork, and on their bank account statement, Upwork shows up as a business expense, and all the freelancers they hired through Upwork gets pooled together into one charge that Upwork charges from their bank account. So they're not hiring you directly as an independent contractor. And for that reason, you also are able to get around this law. They're just paying an escrow service through Upwork as a business expense, and then Upwork is then paying you. Now, this doesn't help labor freelancers like construction workers, handymen. I don't know what advice to give in that industry. I'm really just talking about the digital jobs, the graphic designers, writers, video editors, computer programmers, consultants, all of that. So something to realize is that when you set up an LLC or a corporation, you are partnering with your clients. You're now a vendor. You're not just a freelancer hire. You are a business expense to them. And if you are at the point where you're trying to hire people for your own business, like I am, and you're trying to turn into more of an agency, then you do the same thing. You either hire independent contractors that have an LLC set up, or you go through something like Upwork, and then you as well are able to grow your business and you're able to build up a freelancer workforce, and this law will not affect you either. So that will protect you. In any case, this type of legislation is dangerous because it tampers with our natural and basic rights to pursue the type of career that makes us most happy. It's a violation against the pursuit of happiness. For me, part of me being able to pursue happiness is being able to be self-employed and being able to work from home and build a business and have that type of flexible work. And this type of legislation is a violation against that natural and basic human right. So again, you may be thinking, hey, I don't live in California, this doesn't affect me, or whatever, but it's coming for you. New Jersey, do you live in New Jersey? Do you live in Massachusetts, Oregon, Washington? They're all considering passing a similar law to California's, where you in general, for any reason, get classified as an employee, and so forth. So you give them an inch, they go a mile. Don't even give them that inch. Don't even let them pass the PRO Act, which will be a precedent for future acts that will further restrict your freedom and hurt business and overall hurt the economy, which overall hurts our livelihoods. So it's a big deal. Act now, get involved, speak up, and you will be able to either stop this from happening or you'll at least for now know what to do to protect yourself from it. 57 million freelancers all speaking up have immense power in the legislation in this country that will or will not get passed. With that said, if this was helpful to you, please subscribe to this YouTube channel where I will share with you more advice on being self-employed. You can also go check out my podcast, Go Back to Bed, where I talk a lot about working at home and being self-employed and being a freelancer and what that really means and how to navigate that and how to be a free thinker, which is a huge part of being a freelancer. Comment below with any questions that you have. If there was any part of this video that was confusing to you or you don't fully understand, please ask me and I will respond and I will help you understand what's going on more fully so that you can get involved and that we can all join together in protecting our rights to freelance and ultimately protecting our right to a pursuit of happiness and the type of career that we want to pursue. I'm Chad Graveleze, and I will see you in the next video.